Another test, another spin bowling masterclass from our Ashwin and some incisive pace bowling from Jasprit, Bumrah as well as debutant Mohammed Siraj and host Australia were bowled out for 195. That's in crux the story of the day. Hello and welcome to Turning Point. I'm your host Rika Roy. We shall look back at the fantastic day of Test cricket with former Indian cricketer Ashok Malhotra and Indian fans as well. Before we show you what really happened in the morning, and if you hadn't woken up on this Super Saturday, let me bring in my guests on the show. Mr. Malhotra joins me from Kolkata. Sir, first thing first, can you just put it in perspective for our viewers? Boxing Day, a huge occasion. What does it really mean to these two debutants out there in the middle, Shubman Gill and Mohammed Siraj?
I think it was a wonderful performance by Team India. You know, the way they have regrouped, the way they, our bowling unit has been doing wonderfully well. Even in the last test match, they bowled magnificently. It was the batting unit which let us down. So once again, Bumrah was the main bowler around whom the entire bowling revolved, and you can't take it away from Ashwin. He has taken the main player out of Australian team every time. Looks like Steve Smith seems to be a bunny of Ashwin, and
right.
Once you take Steve Smith out of this batting lineup of Australia, then they tend to struggle. That is why they have not been able to get big scores. But hats off to Indian bowling. Mohammed Siraj made a fantastic debut, and all in all, a fantastic bowling. That is what the management must have ordered.
Would you say that, today India was without the services of Mohammed Shami, but given the way Mohammed Siraj bowled, that we didn't miss Shami? Mr. Malhotra, if you can hear me, well, today a debutant out in the middle in Melbourne, Mohammed Siraj, he bowled splendidly. He was replacing an injured Mohammed Shami. Gurkirat, if you can hear me, would you say today we did not miss Mohammed Shami because the way Mohammed Siraj bowled in the middle?
Excellent performance, without a doubt. I mean, making your debut in an overseas test is always difficult, and the way Siraj bowled post lunch, and especially his second spell, it was brilliant. He was very penetrative, kept beating the batsman, and the way he set up Cameron Green to get him out LBW was just brilliant. Credit where it's due. Completely, the Indian bowling attack as a whole today was very good, and R. Ashwin, was relentless. He bowled some 20 plus odd overs for just 30 runs and took out 3 huge wickets. So, no praise is enough for the way they bowled today.
Right. So at this point, let me tell our viewers that Indians are 36 for 1 at the end of day's play in Melbourne, the first day of the Boxing Day test, which is taking place at the G. It's a traditional test match of the year when people around the world wake up in the early hours who are, far away from Australia to catch the action that happens at G. 30,000 fans are there in the middle today, as against 80,000 fans you get to see during Boxing Day test. Well, last time the Melbourne cricket ground was filled up was for the Women's World Cup final, the Women's World T20 final. That was 293 days ago. And now, once again, fans are back after COVID during the Boxing Day test. Sanchit, coming to you, Jasprit Bumrah was the wrecker-in-chief today, and he was also the chief architect of India's victory in the Boxing Day test last time around. Would you say that, history matters, statistics matter, or it's just about the day and how you perform on the day?
Well, actually, it's a mix of both. I think Jasprit Bumrah really knows that MCG is a happy hunting ground for him. He was simply amazing in 2018 in that innings, and also today he was simply amazing too. But this time around, it was a collective team effort which got them under 200. So that was really good to see. I mean, we thought that Bumrah would be the lone warrior in the absence of Shami, but Siraj stepped up really well, and Ashwin once again he was simply top class. So it was good to see a collective team effort, and also with the bat, I think we have done pretty well to get to a comfortable score at stumps. So pretty happy as a fan overall.
Well, let me go back to my expert Ashok Malhotra. Mr. Malhotra, would you say that Bumrah of 2018 is a little different from Bumrah of 2020?
Absolutely, a year's experience. And Bumrah, we know, is a world-class bowler. Now he's one of the top 2 or 3 bowlers in the world. And definitely, he came in as a 2020 specialist and turned into a wonderful test bowler. And he led from front. As he said, there was a little bit of moisture. He took full toll of it. And not to forget Ashwin also. Bumrah is magnificent in all formats of the game. He is our number 1 bowler in all formats of the game. But you can't take Ashwin out of the play because little bit of moisture and the way he's turning the ball. Day 1. It is a day 1. Imagine, and on first day, if a team is bowled out for 195 after electing to bat, they are looking down the barrel of the gun.
Also, would you say, Ajinkya Rahane deciding to get Ashwin in at the end of 10 overs was a very bold move on the part of a captain?
Definitely so, and especially Steve Smith seems to be his bun. As of now, he seems to be struggling. He can't read Ashwin's mind, which one is drifting away, which one is turning away from him. So he's finding it difficult. That's probably a good thing. And maybe there was a little bit of moisture. Rika, when there is moisture, ball tend to turn. It stops and turns. And that is what Ashwin really exploited.
Sanchit, coming to you, we have been discussing a lot about Steve Smith during the IPL. He said he didn't find his hands in the IPL. Would you say once again he has lost his hands in the Test series?
Look at the scoreboard. Look at the scoreboard.
Sanchit, to you, we've been discussing in the IPL how Steve Smith said that he lost his hands in the IPL. Now, would you say after those 2 brilliant hundreds in the ODI, he's once again lost his hands in the one-day series, in the Test series?
Well, it looks like that way, but I think we have to give credit to the way we bowled to him. I think we came out with intent and plan to Steve Smith. I think even in the IPL, Ashwin was the bowler who took Steve Smith the most times since 2017. So I think there was a clear plan made by the team management, and it clearly worked. So it was good to see that Indian bowlers finally stepping up to Steve Smith and not allowing him to freely score some runs, and hoping that this continues as the series goes on. But yes, I don't think that he lost his hand. I think he's still a quality player, but I think you have to give credit to the Indian bowling. They have really stepped up from the last time they bowled to Steve Smith.
Gurkirat, 195 on the first day of the Melbourne Test. Would you say it's a par score or a below par score by the home team?
See, one thing that we have to keep in mind is that it's not the usual MCG track, which is, a dead highway. It has a lot of moisture, it has a lot of bounce, which was evident when Australia came on to bowl as well. But I still think it's below par. When India lost the toss and if you would have asked the Indian team management, if they would take it 195 all out at the end of day's play, they would have taken it very happily. In fact, they would have taken a score of 250, 270 as well.
Right.
Now, the important thing is that because there is moisture, the pitch will dry out and then it will break up. So it's very important that India bat big in the first innings, because in the fourth innings, just dealing with Nathan Lyon could be very, very difficult on this pitch.
True.
India really, really needs to bat big tomorrow, and hopefully we are not in for what happened in Adelaide. Hopefully, it looks like that Shubman Gill, is looking good. Hopefully India bats big, and we're looking at a minimum lead of 100 to 150. I think that would be key, because batting in fourth innings, anything above 150 could be really, really tough.
Shubman Gill remaining not out on 28. What does it really say of the youngster?
It says that he's a free-flowing batsman. He's very talented, and the way he batted, he had no fears. He was not nervous that he's playing his debut match. He was enjoying the occasion. He was really enjoying it. I know he was dropped once, but that can happen to anybody. Ball was moving around, darting around, but he showed a lot of composure. He stayed put, and he's got a very good match temperament. And another thing is he likes to take the fight to the opposition. We need somebody like Shubman Gill in the absence of Virat Kohli. I know Chiteshwar can stay put, Ajinkya Rahane can stay put and Hanma Vihari can stay put. But you need somebody who can take the fight to the Australians. And Shubman Gill seems to be that guy. Shubman and Rishabh Pant may be the two characters who might take the game away. And as Gurkeerat said, if we can take the lead of 150 plus, because tomorrow is going to be probably the best day to bat in this test match.
And what about the other youngster who made his debut, Mohammed Shami? Didn't you think that he was also asking those tough questions to the opposition, to the Australians? I think the highlight for me was Cameron Green's wicket today.
Absolutely. You know, Siraj is a very good red ball bowler. He might not be as effective in our 2020 cricket or one-day cricket, but red ball, his record speaks for itself. He's a wonderful bowler, and that's why he's preferred ahead of Navdeep Saini. He can swing the ball, he can bring the ball back in, and he can use the bouncer. He can be very, very pacey, very, very effective, and he's a workhorse. He's if I may say, a captain dream bowler. I think, and that is what he showed.
Sanchit, to you, well, we talk about turning points on this show. In today's play, first day of the Melbourne Test, what, according to you, was the turning point?
I think Labuschagne's wicket, because he was going really well, and after the resume of the second session, I think they started off really well. I think around 120 for 3, it looked like Australia came back really well, and they are on their way to score 250 above. So I think Labuschagne's wicket was a turning point for us, and that got us that extra momentum, which helped us to keep on carrying and then restrict them to 200. So Labuschagne is a fantastic player, and I believe that was the turning point for us.
Mr. Malhotra, when Labuschagne and Travis Head were in the middle, they had that 86-run partnership. There were fans who were saying that Head has his tail up. And it seemed like that was the moment that Australia was taking the match away from India. However, given the way things have gone, would you say today's Australian side looks vulnerable from any other Australian side, the batting lineup I'm talking about, than any other Australian lineup that you've seen before?
Absolutely. They're vulnerable once Steve Smith gets out. He's the main player. If you take Smith out of this team, as we saw in 2018, they struggled. David Warner not being there, Steve Smith getting out cheaply, then they struggle. Labuschagne, I know, is a top-class player, he's a world-class player, but when you talk about Travis Head, he gets those 40s, 50s, he does not turn into big runs, and they don't have anybody, and their main problem is the opening partnership. In opening, Joe Burns, he's got another 0, Wade is scoring this 20-30, they don't have anybody who can play big innings besides Steve Smith. So that is the problem. If you take Steve Smith out of this Australian team, they are vulnerable. And I think Indian team is ready for them now.
Gurkeerat, to sum it up, would you say a dose of David Warner is what Australia needs right now?
I just want to add to the previous question that you said. I think overall, if you see around world cricket, when the ball moves, any batting side is vulnerable, right? Because the quality of fast bowling has also improved across teams. We see such a good bowling attack with India. We have seen a good bowling attack with New Zealand. We already know what the likes of Anderson and Broad can do under helpful conditions. We've seen what even the new Pakistani pacers can do.
Right.
So any batting lineup, under conditions which are suitable for bowling will be vulnerable. And to sum it up, like you said, it's been a brilliant day so far. And I hope it continues, and genuinely hope that, one thing that I wish for is Ajinkya Rahane to come good, because it's been very, very, very long since he's had a daddy 100. And, he's probably played his best innings of his test career 147 6 years ago at MCG. It would be the perfect time to get it again.
Right. It was 4 years ago that he scored that big 100 on this venue. Last time around, of course, Jasprit Bumrah and Cheteshwar Pujara were the heroes, but India won the series here at this venue, the G. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the show.